Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where we usually do paint videos and art tutorials, but today it's gonna be a bit different. Now, I got this question over at my Patreon page. If you don't know, I offer digital downloads and full-time painting tutorials over there in Traceables, free shameless self-promotion. John asks, I've done more than 24 of your tutorials and really like them a lot. Some focused on color mixing both from the watercolor perspective but also from the watercolor pencil perspective, where you're layering multiple colors would be great as well. And then I wonder if a tutorial on how you're mixing your colors would help here. I had a really hard time with this one, and this was this little tutorial right there. So in order to explain how I mix colors, we need to get some theory down first, and I mean color theory. Because, come on, I don't expect to say, you take Azo Yellow Deep with dioxazide or quinacridone, like what does that even mean? If you have no previous background in arts and I tell you take the Lake Mare, and you're like, what? Is that even a color? Are we supposed to go to a lake? That's what I have with my friends. Like when I'm trying to explain this to my friends in person, they're like, Lake Mare? Is that even in the country? So I'm going to briefly explain my process when I pick colors to mix for a painting. And hopefully by the end of this video, which I hope won't be too long, I'm going to try and keep it under 10 minutes. You can apply that same principle with the colors you have to achieve similar results in your painting. The Oh My color wheel. If you've been painting for a while, chances are you've seen this, and this right here is from my book. I'm actually writing a book about watercolor pencils. First half is gonna be theory, second half is just gonna be practice projects. Again, shameless self-promotion right there. But what is even this? This tool right here, print it out, Google it and print it out or copy it into your sketchbook front page. You just need to either memorize this or have it as a reference. And what it does is it basically tells us what colors work with what colors. It's all in this image right here. It's crazy, I know. And I'm going to show you examples so you sort of understand what I'm meaning here. Now, there are various combinations. Think of them as like cheat codes to art, which you can apply at any part of the color wheel and it's gonna look good. I'm just gonna quickly simplify this. I do not in any way mean this is a complete guide. This is all there is to color theory. This is just the basics that we can use and apply, and what I use and I apply to my paintings, and hopefully it's gonna help you as well. Now, first off, the easiest, at least in my opinion, I always call them adjacents, but Google says they're analogs, they're not adjacents. So what basically means is each color on the color wheel looks good with its neighbor. Some real quick examples. Yellow looks good with green because it's right next to each other on the wheel. Again, yellow and green. Green and blue also looks nice together. Red and orange looks good together. And orange and yellow looks good together. So that's pretty straightforward. And then what you always hear me talking about in my videos, especially the narrative ones, is complementary colors. What does that mean? You have the color wheel. Complementaries are the opposites. So real quick, that's yellow and purple, blue and orange, and this is the best example I have of red and green because I used red and green to mix everything else. So these are the main colors I used for the painting, and you can see the contrast here. Think of it like a bush with roses. The roses are red, the bush is green. It looks pretty. Then we have split complementaries. That means a complementary color with one analog color. What does that mean? So remember I said yellow and purple are complementaries? What's a complementary to violet? Red. It could be a cool red as well. I have yellow, the cool red, this is magenta, and violet, and it looks nice. And even this painting I showed you, we have the blue in the sky. I believe this was Stalo blue. I'm not 100% certain, I don't remember. We have this orangey situation going on here in the sunset, and then some yellow on the bottom. So blue and orange, complementaries, orange and yellow, analogs, So this is a split complementary situation we have going on. And then triad, that means like yellow, blue, and red. Something of the sort. We have the yellow, the blue, and the red. And just a very quick note / explanation. We have warm and cool primary colors, which are the colors you mix to get everything I just spoke of, mainly yellow, red, and blue. Now, how do you know if it's a cool or warm tone? Well, if it's, let's say, a cool red, it's gonna look more pink and violet. And if it's a warm red, it's gonna look orange. If it's a warm yellow, it's gonna look orange, because that's what's between yellow and red. And if it's a cool yellow, it's gonna lean towards the opposite side, aka towards the green side on the color wheel. And an honorary mention goes to one of my favorite techniques as of 2024. I've done this prior as well, but I just love a good monochrome painting. That's just one color. This entire painting is dusk green. I love dusk green. If you're going to go down the monochrome path, because I don't expect you to randomly have dusk green in your desk drawer or something, go for a nice deep dark saturated color, because the more saturated it is, like I can get almost black out of this color, but I can also get this very gorgeous pale green outfit once I dilute it with water. That's why yesterday I was at the art store and had to pick up some special paper for a special project, and I impulse bought this, I have no idea how to even read it, azomethine green yellow. That's methane. I don't even know what this is, but they just pull out a whole sketchbook kind of thing with all the swatches. And I saw it looked gorgeous. You can get some very rich deep tones out of this. We're gonna try it out in a bit. And that's what I look for when buying paint for these monochrome projects, because I really like this style. That's why I like colors such as dusk green, indigo blue, Payne's gray. I really wanted to buy, I believe it's called Dusk Rose or Dusk Violet by Van Gogh, but they were sold out. And I believe I can get the same effect with this very, very dark color. It's almost black, and these very soft tones from it, all from one paint. I believe I can achieve this with just this little half pan right here all alone. So that's what I look at whenever I shop for paint. And this is another monochrome paint. This is just indigo blue, and this one we did last week with Payne's gray. And this is phthalo blue. It's not even that deep dark red. You can't really go any darker than this. But if you dilute with enough water for the first couple of layers, it's pretty good. Now let's go into some practical tips on how you can apply everything I just spoke of without having to memorize all this information. Like, what are some easy tips and hacks that I can apply right here, right now, today? This is going to be a very controversial tip, but buy yourself a limited palette. Just buy the colors, arrange them yourself. Do not buy a whole entire watercolor pre-arranged, pre-made palette. Why? Because if you're brand new, chances you're gonna get lost. So let me guide you through what I have here. This is whenever I get artist block, whenever I don't know what to paint and everything ends up looking like I just barfed on the page. This is what I resort to. These are some Winsor & Newton Cotman paints. This is cadmium yellow pale hue, cadmium orange. This should be some cadmium red. I believe this is rose madder hue. Hooker's green light and dark. I never used them. They're pretty much brand new because I only used them for the swatch card and I didn't like them. I have beef with green. I never like store-bought green unless it's teal green or dusk green, which is my recent discovery. But yeah, I just hate greens. This is my favorite blue out of this palette because I can mix so much with it. I really love it for mixing. It's cobalt blue hue. Hue just means it's synthetic. There is no real cobalt in it. It's not that toxic because cobalt is toxic. This is hue, it's synthetic. I can touch it without any issues. And this is intense blue, which for some reason Winsor & Newton called their phthalo blue. Everyone in the world calls it phthalo blue, but they chose to call it intense blue. So what you know is they have a cool yellow, an orangey yellow, an orangey red, a pinkish red, a violet purpley blue, and a clear intense blue. So I have a warm and cool tone of each of my primaries. Once you have that, you can start building on your palette, and as you paint, you're gonna see what is it that you like, what is it that you do not like, what mixes do you often end up making, and you can go from there and purchase further colors. Like if you find yourself mixing a lot of violets and purples, then you can just facilitate yourself and go and buy some purple. If you like a specific green, like I hate these, but I like this green, I like olive greens, I might purchase an olive green. Just start from the basics and build upon that. And the reason why I advise you on having a warm and cool of each is you cannot really mix all the colors or the shades with either just a warm palette or a cool palette. Why? Well, for a strange reason, like I said, red and green, they're opposites, so they should make brown/black. But if you mix a cool red like quinacridone with a cool green like Taylor, you actually end up making lavender. And I remember some 10 years ago when I first started painting, I heard all over the place that burnt umber mixed together with blue should make black, and it ended up making puke green, and I was, why am I doing wrong? Well, I was using Taylor blue, which is a cool blue, instead of ultramarine, which is a purpley warm blue tone, and building up on this palette situation. Tip number 2, always swatch your paints. But I do not mean a swatch like this, where you can just look and see, oh, okay, this is called Quinacridone Rose. If I run out of it, I'm gonna repurchase it or something to put in your palette to know which color is which, because come on, they all look the same. What I mean is this kind of swatch card. Now, what is this? This is my Van Gogh palette, and here I have the colors that were in my palette. I have Azul Yellow Light, Quinacridone Rose, Lake Mary Deep, Burnt Umber, and so on and so on. And I also have them in the same order here. So Azul Yellow Light and Azul Yellow Light, aka the pure color from the half pan, looks like this. But if I mix it with Quinacridone Rose, it's gonna look like this. If I mix it with Lake Mary Deep, it's gonna give me this very pale, nice orangey tone. And let's say I wonder what does ultramarine look like when you mix it with Azul Yellow Light. Well, I have the ultramarine here and the Azul Yellow Light here, so this is what it looks like. Or let's say I want Taylor Green and I don't know, Lake Mary Deep. Taylor Green, Lake Mary Deep, whoop, and it looks like this. Very dark brown, almost black. Now, why is this useful? Let's say you're looking at a reference picture on your phone or your tablet or whatever, and you see a specific green tone or a specific, I don't know, tone, and you're like, how do I even mix that? Well, you have all of the possible mixes from your palette on a sheet of paper that's right in front of you. You can take the sheet and be like, okay, this looks the closest, and you, well, at least I've done little circles whenever I use it like that to know this is a very good mix, this is very good green, and this is still to this day one of my favorite greens. It's Payne's Gray with Azul Yellow Light. Or even if you just have a picture in your head, like from your imagination, you want to paint, how do I get that color that's in my head? Just look at your swatch card. So always, for all of your palettes, whenever you purchase new colors, make one of these swatch charts. It's not that difficult. Just make little squares, write down all the names of the colors on one side and on the other, and mix all of the tone, all of the possible color combinations you get from your paints. Tip number 3, if you have a limited palette like mine, and let's say you've been mixing cadmium red with cobalt blue. It's a gorgeous color, but you run out of that mixture you have here on the little palette thingy, and you need to mix it again. But you're not sure if you actually mix the same exact tone. Maybe you need more blue, maybe you need more red. What do? Take your napkin, tap the brush, pretend this is a brush, on the napkin, and you're gonna see the exact color you mixed before you end up going on the pink and be like, uh-oh, this is way too blue or way too red. Just test it. Could be that I'm just stupid and it took me way too long to figure that one out, but hey, better late than never. And last tip, especially for pink. Now, this, again, controversial. Well, not really, because it's the straight truth, but the truth oftentimes hurts. Now, let's just examine this paint real quick. I did this way before. I did this in 2019. I actually write the date back on my sketchbooks. So 5 years ago, I believe the background for the walls and the ground here was mixed with the primaries Lake Deep, and this green right here is indigo with Azo yellow. So I mixed those three, diluted them, and used it to paint the background. Let the background dry, mixed indigo with the yellow, and I painted all this foliage that's coming down onto the background wall there. So basically I had a new layer onto my painting. Thing is, you are not always able to add layers. Why? Because of the paper. If you're using bad quality, cheap paper, as soon as you go over to add a second or a third layer, it's gonna end up picking up the initial first layer from the background. So there is not really much you can do in that situation because it's just the paper. The only thing you can do is go and buy some new paper. But that's just a little something to have in mind if you find yourself struggling where you do a first wash, then you need to add the other elements like the pots or like the flower pots or the little tree there, and you're like, why is this not working? Well, that's why. Look up where your paper has internal or external sizing. I expect it to happen more with papers that are externally sized, meaning they have that glossy finish to them. The sizing, which is an agent they use inside the pulp, inside of the cellulose or cotton, is going to dictate how well it absorbs water and how it behaves when it comes in contact with water. Some brands only size the external surface of the paper. Some add inside of the fibers, like Fabriana, I believe they always use internal sizing. Whenever you buy paper, read upon it. It should be listed somewhere on the sketchbook, or if not, on the manufacturer's website. And as soon as you start working with your swatches, I advise you please always start with a swatch card, paint a little color wheel, just play with it and see how it behaves. As soon as you do that, you're gonna understand what kind of materials you're dealing with. So that was for my little tips on how to use color theory to your advantage, as a beginner watercolor painter. And I hope those tips help you apply to your day-to-day sketching and painting. I hope you enjoyed this video. A special thank you goes to my Patreon support for the month of December. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see each other in the next one. Bye bye.